What's going on, guys? BMP here, back with another bad movie review. This week, 2012, Ice Age. Brrr, as they like to say in the movie so many times. Just in case you didn't know that they were cold. So let's jump right into this one. So 2012 Ice Age revolves around a family trying to navigate themselves through this disaster that's occurring. So a volcano erupts.
The entire Heckler line is erupting. There is pressure building up everywhere.
Causing a giant glacier
Iceland.
to, I want to say, crack down the middle or crack an entire side off, but it's like this massive chunk that's now flying through the ocean towards land. And it's changing the weather climate, causing massive snowstorms. At one point you see twisters. So, shit's getting fucked up. But it follows this one family, the father, Bill, the mother, Terry, and the children, Julia and Nelson. Julia, at the very beginning of the movie, Julia goes off to New York for school. So she's not with the rest of the family for the majority of the movie. And that's the whole point, is that the rest of the family is trying to get to New York to meet up with her and, presumably save her. So Bill is... I don't know if they ever stated what exactly his career was, but it was something to do with this ice study that they were doing. And he's some kind of I don't want to say scientist, but he's like an analyst, I think. So he goes back to his job. First of all, they have to catch him running down the entire block to get into his building. We can't just assume that he crossed the street, he's going into the building. We have to see him run there. And once he gets inside, everyone seems kind of calm. And this one guy, I don't know if they actually stated his name or I just missed it, but they're friends. And he's like, "Oh, Bill," he's like, "we got this handled. You can go home." And he's like, "No, you don't understand. The glacier's coming and it's this giant thing." And I spoke to the other person, Divya. Divya was actually on site when the volcano erupted and the ice started cracking, and he died early on. And he's like, I spoke to Divya and he said this, and this. And the guy's like, "Oh, we knew that already. It's okay. You can go home." And he said, "Well, why do you keep telling me to go home? I could be analyzing something for you or whatever." He's like, "We got this." And then Bill says to him,
"We've been friends for 15 years. What the hell's going on here?"
And only at that point did the guy drag him into a room and tell him,
Bill, I have just put Cynthia and my kids on a plane to Mexico. You do the same. We have got chunks of ice falling all over Canada. In 19 hours, the bulk of the glacier is going to hit North America. Bill, get your family out now.
And all I thought about that entire time was, so if Bill didn't play the friend card, this guy was just going to let Bill and his family fucking die. No fucking care in the world at all for their safety until he plays the friend card. And then the guy's like, "All right, let me tell you, you should save your family's lives." What a piece of shit. There were a lot of inconsistencies in this movie between traffic and no traffic, snow and no snow, storm and no storm, nighttime, daytime. There was massive amounts of inconsistency in this movie.
Nighttime, daytime is what got me the most, because they hit me like boom, boom, boom. It was daytime, okay? And then a little while later, maybe a scene later, it was nighttime, okay? Then it, boom, switches back to daytime. And then we're told, no matter how dark it is outside, it's only 3 p.m. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
I would like to think that when we thought it was nighttime, that's just when the thick clouds were covering and blocking the sun. And then when they passed over, we saw that it was daytime again. Then they panned over again and it was, seemed like nighttime again.
Well,
It
yeah, at one
literally
point.
reminded me of the video from YouTube with the bird.
Nighttime. Daytime!
Nelson stole the show. He stole the show in this movie because his facial expressions, if he would have carried that face throughout the entire movie, I'd pay to go see it in theaters. I'm telling you, his face in that car when he's sitting in the back seat just seems so defeated. It's
But
the absolute best.
he also had one of the best lines and maybe the best dialogue in the entire movie in the one scene where he said,
"This visibility sucks balls."
and that was just the end.
So as they're driving, and the roads are clear, because a lot of times we'll see the family in the car and then they cut to a shot of the road in front of them of what they're seeing, and it's empty road. It's all clear. They're the only ones there. And then a split second later, Nelson goes, "Dad, look out!" And it cuts to the front, and there's just this massive pileup of like 2 or 3 cars that they then proceed to crash into and flip over. And it was like, where the fuck did this accident come from? And that's another thing about the inconsistencies. You show a clear road the entire way, but then you need an accident to happen, so you plop a car accident right there on the road. So after the family gets into the accident, we cut over to Julia, because we have to take a break from the family now that they got hurt. We cut over to Julia, and she's with her boyfriend, Logan. And they're told like to go stay in the dorms. So they go to the dorms, and then lightning starts striking the building, shattering all the glass. So as they're walking through the hallways, this random girl comes out of one of the rooms. I guess she's Julia's friend. And she's like, "I can't reach anybody in Maine." So Julia says, "Don't worry, just keep trying." So Logan and Julia run off. The friend goes back in the room. Lightning strikes and shatters the windows. And all of a sudden, the friend comes out with a big wound on her head and just dies. Just drops dead. And I don't even know what happened to her. Like, are we supposed to assume that the glass shattered and like impaled her forehead? Like, okay. She just walks right out of the room and drops to the floor. And that's that's it. As quick as she joins the movie, she leaves it.
So they find this van. This van.
Oh, the van.
A giant letter taped to the steering wheel. And they don't even take a look at it. From start to the time that they lose the van, they don't take a look at it. So it just so happens that there was enough chemicals and shit in the truck, in the back of this truck, of this van. Mixed
don't
with,
forget the keys.
and the keys that were just in it. But then there was also another truck that took diesel fuel, and combined with all these different bullshits that probably doesn't work in real life, they created created some sort of explosive to blow all the cars up and clear a path for them. And Matt, do you remember?
And that's when his son goes,
Dad, where'd you learn to do that?
and this was the line that pissed me off.
Science class.
What school were you in that they taught you how to make an explosive?
So they get to the van now, and as they're driving, they see other cars that are abandoned on the side of the road. And they see these people that are just standing out there. And this, honest to God, made me laugh so hard because...
Are you talking about the cardboard people?
Yes, because there's these... First of all, they show these 2 people, and then they show a 3rd woman. And then the next time they cut back, all 3 of them are standing together. As if they knew, like, oh, are you going to get picked up? Like it's the bus stop. Bill feels bad, so he pulls over. And Terry's like, what are you doing? We have to get to New York. We have to get Julia. And he's like, I know, but we're in a warm car. These people are stranded, abandoned here. Like, maybe we can just pick them up. And she's like, we're going to New York. And he's like, yes, we are going to New York, but maybe they can just hitch a ride with us to New York. We're in a warm car. As they're debating, the camera cuts back to these 3 poor people standing outside, just staring at them. And I was just laughing because I don't know if it was intentional, but it was just so funny because it kept cutting back to these 3 people just like watching them fight, watching them debate to pick them up or not. And they're standing at the window like just waiting.
No, 2 minutes?
Yeah, 2 minutes. Honey, we just can't leave people out there.
And then out of nowhere,
Why don't you walk up to the car?
a giant piece of ice just crushes all 3 of them. That was the best laugh I had all night.
My highlight was the next scene that happened after that is when they meet the random guy on the road. The guy pulls out a gun randomly and just takes their car from them. Some of them just driving away. But now here's my part, is where he jumps in the car and takes it. And their son goes,
He has the radio gear.
and he turned into the Flash, chased down this minivan on the ice, and got the book bag with the laptop out of the van.
So one thing we actually forgot to talk about is, and I don't even know what location it was supposed to be, but we just get this view of like this town or city, and there's all these people, and the storm hits, and it's like a flash freeze, and
Oh, no.
everyone just freezes to death instantly while they're standing there, and they turn like blue. All right, because we never see that kind of side effect again. Like it storms for the rest of the movie. There's
No.
always snow everywhere that they go, and no one else freezes like that in the rest of the movie.
It was just them.
It was just this one scene of this one city or whatever it was. These poor bastards just froze to death. Let's revisit Julia and Logan for a second, because Logan has the idea to use the subway tunnels as a means of transport to get around under the city. But all of them are closed. So he then decides the next best thing to do is to go to the Lincoln Tunnel on foot and hike it to Jersey. So they do make it to Jersey. But if all that wasn't bad enough, the tunnel lets out like into the middle of a town. Which makes no sense, because when they first walked out of the tunnel and it cut to this town and a fire truck's rolling by, I thought it was a transition scene and we were going to go see something else. But then it cuts back to Julie and Logan looking at this town from the entrance of the tunnel. And I'm like, the tunnel just let out in the middle of a fucking town. So they track her down into an alleyway, and her and Logan are standing there, and finally the family reunites. You would think that's the end of it. The military already tried to blow up the glacier. The family reunited, but no. And I think that's one problem this movie had, was it didn't know when to end. Because now they get back in the car. They're driving over the Hudson, which is frozen. And the glacier is now behind them. Not to the point where like they're actually driving away from it, but that's pretty much what's going on, is they're now trying to physically outrun the glacier, worse than before. And they end up hiding out in the Statue of Liberty. The glacier comes, smacks right into it, and when they come out, the Statue of Liberty is up to its head in ice and snow. But the family survived with Logan. Helicopters come, and boom, movie ends. Credits roll. Like, that's it. It went from not knowing when to
Fade to
end.
black.
It went from not knowing when to end to ending so abruptly. And then the credits rolled. So we're gonna go ahead and give our final grading. Matt?
Well, I rate this movie F for totally awful shit that you should never watch.
Chris?
No.
I'm gonna give it an F. It fucking sucked.
Wow, you guys are harsh. Believe it or not, watching this movie, I was gonna give it an A. Because listen, it does suck, but it's entertaining to watch. I actually enjoyed watching this movie. I laughed. I genuinely laughed at several different parts. It kept me entertained. But overall, I'm probably going to have to give it a B. But I'm not going to go as low as an F for this one. This one is not as shitty as other things I've seen. So yeah.
Farce Wars was better.
B for me. Alright guys, so that's our review on 2012 Ice Age. Tune in next time when we're covering orcs.
No.
With an exclamation point. That's important because like it's in the title. Yeah, that's the whole movie. That's orcs.
Must be.
That's the name. So I'm excited to check that one out because that's like there's no like premise that's been done before for that. Like 2012 Ice Age, okay, like it's gonna be some kind of like, you know, take on
Day After Tomorrow.
Day After Tomorrow, any disaster movie, 2012 the movie, maybe, you know what I mean? But like this, I feel like I have no pretense going into this. I have no idea what to expect from this movie, so I'm excited to check that one out. But as always, guys, if check out this movie yourself and let us know what you think of it in the comments below. Like and subscribe to check more of these movie reviews going forward because we're not going anywhere. As always, guys, I'm Anthony.
Matt.
I'm Chris.
And we'll see you next time. Later.